Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Chad Calek, and welcome back to the In a Crowded Room podcast, where before we jump into what episode number 44 is going to be about, I first want to thank all of you. The last 10 days have been record-setting days for the podcast across the board in likes, episode likes, views, total view time. You guys have done an amazing job of getting the word out. The subs have grown faster than they ever have before in a single week. Everything has been awesome. The only thing that did not increase is the ad revenue, which I completely understand why some of the biggest influencers on the YouTube format are either leaving or threatening to leave, because it's just gotten ridiculous what is going on. It's gotten to the point of censorship for sure. I'm not going to give YouTube a big section of time in this podcast, so I'm going to make a separate video. Please listen to it. I do need your support. I love this podcast. I love doing it. We have found something really special that is growing really fast, and it's ours. It's not theirs. I just want to keep doing this and making it better than it's ever been before. And I do not want to censor myself. And I've found myself doing that. And I'll explain everything in the separate message that I'm going to release to you guys. Having said that, let's get to episode number 44, which I'm going to talk about what I refer to as the tragedy of the Blackwell Ghost documentary. No, I had never heard of this documentary before, and it was suggested to me by a friend of mine who just said, hey, I checked this out. I thought it was pretty spooky. You should check it out. And I love when people do that, when they give me documentaries to watch, unlike some filmmakers who don't watch the genre of film that they make. I'm the opposite. I definitely bring my work home with me. I love documentaries. I watch them nonstop. Before we got to the digital age, I owned over 250 documentaries on DVD. I love documentaries. So whenever I get a new one saying it's about a paranormal investigation and it's authentic and it's real ghost footage, because there's not that many of them out there, I'm always super excited to see what's going on. So I thank my friend for this, and I got excited to see it. The only place I could find that it was available to watch was on Amazon, in which after I found it, I went straight to the synopsis or the descriptor, and it says, The Blackwell Ghost. A filmmaker tries to prove that ghosts are real, but soon regrets his intentions after he finds himself being terrorized in a haunted house by a ghost with a dark past. An authentic documentary that shows actual ghost footage that was captured on camera. So right away I'm going, wow, this is, pretty in your face. This is saying this is what's up. I look under genre, it says documentary. I look under director, it says none. Then I look under starring, and it says Ruth Blackwell, which right away I assume Ruth Blackwell is the Blackwell Ghost. So I'm going, okay, whoever made this is having fun with it. They're saying that, the film is starring the ghost. Okay, it is what it is. So I just throw it on, and I know nothing about this film. Nothing, other than my friend said it's spooky, you should check it out. It's 4 a.m., perfect time of the night to watch a scary documentary. I hit play. So I hit play, and right away I see a filmmaker from Kentucky who explains that he moved out to LA, did the Hollywood thing, made a bunch of zombie features, and now he wants to make a documentary about ghosts being real. Which, can I just say this too, and you're probably all going to think I'm weird for this, but I've never understood the zombie film thing. I've never understood it. I don't get into it. I've never seen a single episode of The Walking Dead. And everybody I know says it's amazing. My partner, Thomas, says the first season is like epic filmmaking, and I trust his advice, so I should definitely check it out, but I don't get the zombie thing. But what was weird about this is he's saying that he was a zombie filmmaker that suddenly just decided it was time for a new path in life. So he chose to make a documentary about ghosts being real. But he never gives the connective tissue as to why. And I don't know why. And as I'm watching it, I'm thinking that, well, why would you go from fictional zombie films to nonfiction, a documentary about ghosts being real? And maybe the connective tissue is just that both genres fit under the umbrella of horror. I don't know. But he says, the first thing I need is to find a subject. Now, this is very important. And he starts talking about how in his area of Kentucky, he saw a video that went viral of a hotel employee that went to this room and everything in the room was nailed upside down. And you've probably seen this ghost video because it did in fact go viral. And I remember right away, everybody in the world thought this was real. If you look on the screen right now, here's a still shot of it. I wanted to play you the whole video, but as I'll explain in my other message that I'm going to release to you guys, I'm sure YouTube will tag me and demonetize me and everything else if I actually show you 10 seconds of this thing. But if not, you can find this video really quickly. I actually featured this video in Sir No Face because I knew it was fake. I knew it was fake the second I saw it for 5 reasons that I knew the filmmaker could never in a million years tell me that it wasn't fake. So right away, I have like a red flag goes up when I'm watching this documentary, and I'm like, okay, so he's talking to this guy. So the filmmaker in Kentucky is talking to the supposed hotel employee that recorded this video off of CCTV. And the hotel employee says, no, this is real, it's not fake. In which the filmmaker says, well, I thought it was fake right away, so if it is, you can just tell me. And he keeps saying this, you can just tell me if it's fake. And the guy is saying, the hotel employee is saying, no, I understand why you would think that. I don't even have the ability to do that. It's just not fake. It's not. And here's what's really weird. The hotel employee that is on the CCTV footage, his voice is altered, where it's like super deep so you can't tell the tone of his voice, like he's trying to hide his voice. But I'm thinking in my head, okay, millions of views of this thing have been out there. You're on the screen. You answer this guy's email. You're saying that it's real. So why are you changing your voice? What's going on right now? And I actually said to Laura, I said, you know what? He's probably talking to himself. And, she didn't think much about it when I said it. But as after I said it, I started thinking, I'm like, you know what? I think he is. I think he's talking to himself. And I start listening to his voice and listening to the altered tone. And I'm like, they're speaking very similar. So when he gets off the phone with the guy, he invites the hotel employee to come meet with him the following day. And he's like all excited. He's like, I got my subject. And again, I said to Laura, I said, there's no way that guy's showing up because it's the same person. It's one and the same person. So the following morning, you see the filmmaker in his car, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to be meeting this guy shortly. And I'm thinking, really? Wow. And, next shot, yeah, he's not going to come. He decided he's not going to come meet me. And I'm thinking, of course he's not. Of course he's not. And he said he's not going to come meet me because he's worried about what his work would think. And I'm thinking, okay, millions and millions of views later, he doesn't want to come meet you because he's worried that he's in this footage that he would have had to have released himself. And he just agreed to speak with you already on a documentary and say that it's real. None of this makes sense. This is the same guy. This is the same guy. So that's my first, heavy indicator that this is a fake documentary. Beyond the natural inclinations that you get, the camera hates actors, right? It's an old school saying, and it's totally true. It's why guys like Christopher Walken get a million acting jobs, because Christopher Walken plays Christopher Walken no matter what movie he's in, right? Because he doesn't act, he plays himself. So you can tell when someone's basically acting. And this director, it feels that way. It totally feels that way. So, anyways, suddenly the camera just cuts from him being in the car saying that this guy's not going to come for this interview to 2 years later. 2 years later, in which the filmmaker is saying, yeah, I've been looking for, new subjects, and people have been sending me, all kinds of footage, and most of it's just terrible. But I found this one piece of footage in Pennsylvania, in the small house in Pennsylvania, that has really, really caught my eye. Check it out. And it's this empty room, and a light turns on, something kind of moves across the screen, and the light turns off. But here's what's interesting. It's the same damn effect that's in the hotel CCTV footage. It's the same effect. It's the same thing. It's just set up better. That's it. So I'm still watching, it's like, okay, let's see what happens. He flies there. He meets this guy who says this place is totally haunted, tells him all kinds of stories, shows him the scary basement, basically just tells him stories. And then the guy goes back to Kentucky. By the way, the filmmaker owns a plane, a little Cessna, so he flies to Pennsylvania and Kentucky back and forth, which he's super stoked about. And there's all kinds of footage of this and talk about it. So again, you can tell the filmmaker's own passions are just kind of shining through. But after he gets back, he basically just tells the guy, thanks for giving me your stories. Don't really believe them. And then out of the blue, he gets an email saying, I'm going out of town. This is the guy that owns the house in Pennsylvania. I'm going out of town. Do you want to just come and stay at my place? And you can just have it. And again, I'm thinking to myself, is that how that works in life? You just meet a guy once and then you just give your place to him for several days? To make a long story short, the first piece of evidence that is presented are these footsteps, and it's clearly a special effect. Anybody who's ever been, ghost hunting at all, those handheld wave recorders, even the highest end wave recorders, you don't just get crystal clear audio that's been compressed and just it's perfect. And right away, you can just tell, because he's a filmmaker, I mean, he's using special effects. And I can totally see how, I guess, someone who didn't work with the tools in editing could mistake some of this for real stuff. But beyond that, just the things that happen are so huge. And I've said this many times in previous podcasts, is like, things hardly ever happen, and when they do, usually it's subtle things. Subtle things. It's not just massive events. Like, he wakes up, and every room that he walks to, basically, the water's turned on, Like, if he goes to the kitchen water's on. He shuts that off, goes to the bathroom water's on. Comes out of the bathroom, the kitchen sink's back on again. He wakes up one night and the stove's just burning and smoke is rippling through the house, and all of these things are elements and things that have been taken from past cases. But just like Paranormal Activity, they're just stacking all of these real events that have happened, maybe in 10 different cases. They're just stacking all of them together. In this very short amount of time, these guys, experience everything from freak fires to apportation, to disembodied voices, to knocking. And like most bad horror films, any human being, if you were just standing down in a basement, of a haunted place that's not yours, and it's 2 a.m. in the morning, and you and your wife are there, and you suddenly hear someone stomping across the ceiling above you, and I mean stomping, you wouldn't go, "What is that?" And your wife wouldn't go, "Well, all houses settle." It's like, no, there was stomping that just went above your head. It's not your house settling. Someone's stomping around, you know. So to make a long story short, you can see where I'm going with this. This is an absolute fake documentary. And to be honest, it's probably, in my opinion, better than Paranormal Activity. I thought Paranormal Activity was just horrible. This was spookier to some degree than Paranormal Activity, the way he kind of shot the smoke when it was the house was filled with smoke, and just the way he did different things at times. You could tell, I mean, he spent some time setting this stuff up. At least I could. And so anyways, fair enough. By the end of it, I'm like, okay, this is clearly fake. And I'm waiting for the reveal. And I realized that I watch things through a filmmaker's eyes and an editor's eyes. So there's definitely things that I can acknowledge that I will see that other people won't see or pick up or notice, but it's clearly fake. Even if I take off the filmmaker goggles, most people, I think, at the very least, at the very end, are going to have, suspicion. Even my friend who suggested this to me, when I talked to her afterwards, she was like, yeah, something wasn't right. I looked up, and she had figured it out too. Yeah, it was fake. There's no reveal. There's no part of the documentary where the filmmaker just says, yeah, truth be told, this wasn't real. I just always felt like I could make a fake mockumentary and really sell it. And, it just reminded me of, remember The Fourth Kind? About the Nome abductions in Nome, Alaska? It starred Mila Jovovich. That film did something incredible that pissed me off so bad. When the film starts out, it begins with Mila Jovovich saying, "Hi, I'm actress Mila Jovovich, and I'm portraying Dr. Abigail Tyler. The following events that you're going to see are real. They are supported by footage. Whenever we have the actual footage, we will, put it in the film. We'll insert it next to the scenes that we acted out so you can see how real the story was. And basically, it's up to you to decide at the end if you believe that the Nome abductions occur." But at no point is she even hinting that she could be lying. In fact, she's saying the opposite. She's saying, I'm an actress portraying this person, and we have real footage. So, admittedly, guys, when I watched the beginning of The Fourth Kind, I was sold. Hook, line, and sinker. They had me. And the footage up to about the halfway point in The Fourth Kind is so incredible. There's this dash cam footage of this guy when he's, basically attacking his wife that just looks so incredibly authentic. In fact, in the middle of that film, I actually freaked out and called Justin. I was like, dude, you have got to see The Fourth Kind right now. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen, because I had heard the stories of the Nome abductions. The stories are real. A bunch of people over a period of time in Nome, Alaska, started going missing at an incredible rate. And at the same time, there was a massive amount of UFO sightings surrounding these people going missing. So I knew the basis of the story. Mila Jovovich sold me on the fact that she was an actress just portraying this real character, and that I was going to be seeing real footage. And then the director sold me on that fake footage as though it was real. And in the middle of that film, this person that is being seen by this doctor basically hovers above their bed in the supposedly real footage, in which I just went, oh man, fuck off. I was so upset at myself. I'm like, I bought this hook, line, and sinker. God, I'm gullible. I had to call Justin back and go, hey man, yeah, I'm an idiot. You know? But the length they went to tell the lie was incredible. Now, the Blackwell Ghost took that step, but they did it in the Amazon descriptor. And by the way, this isn't an Amazon film. He just specifically chose to release it on Amazon because when you release films on Amazon, they'll allow you to write your own movie description. That's why it's only on Amazon, because you actually type in there what it says about the film. So that was the one platform where he could totally lie and say, this is what's up. You know, this is a real documentary with real footage of a ghost. And he never says it at the end. He never says, yeah, this is fake. And I'll tell you why that is such a terrible thing, not only for documentaries in the paranormal field, but also for fictional filmmaking. When you go to see a fictional film, everyone knows it's fictional, right? The gauntlet has been laid down. The director, the actors, they are all telling you up front, nothing that you're going to see is real. And it's our job to lie to you so well that you feel like it's real. And that is the beauty of fictional filmmaking. There is such an art to it. There is such a craft. When you know it's just a movie, but yet you're terrified. It is so difficult. It is so difficult to make that happen. That's why the very best at it get paid millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. Because they can make hundreds of millions of people feel emotions from situations that aren't real as though they were real. Now, the reason it's terrible for documentaries is because you shouldn't have to think about, am I being lied to or not? That's the piece of the puzzle that's removed. That's what makes it not a fictional film and a documentary. Is a fictional film says, we want you to know for sure up front it's all fake. A documentary is stating, you don't even got to think about it. It's real. So now this guy is making films that people don't even know if it's real or not. And there's a lot of people that have seen his work, I guarantee you, that fully believe what he presented was real. I will guarantee it. And the reason that's terrible for the paranormal field is obvious, man. Obvious. You want to see something real. And I guess that's why I'm making this podcast on this Blackwell Ghost documentary, because it's not a documentary. It's not a documentary, and I want people to know that. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. It's a backhand to people who are into the paranormal. It's a backhand to fictional filmmakers. And I don't hate like any human being, you know, that's such a strong word. But if I ever met him, I would go, dude, it's not cool. It's not cool, man. If you want to bluff us the whole time, that's fine. But at the end, show your hand. Show your hand. Because there are people that have had life-changing events. Life-changing events that are paranormal. And not just for the worse, for the better. You know, way back in 2003, when I first started posting evidence clips online, we came up with the name AGH, first and foremost, as just a tag that we can put on our footage because we wanted people to know it was ours. And we wanted that brand to mean truth and honesty because there were so many fake evidence clips out there. We wanted people to see AGH and know right away, oh, that's real versus everything else. And the first sticker we ever had made back in 2003, the very, very first sticker we ever had made said, "The truth holds no fear." The truth holds no fear. And that was something my father told me in teaching me as a young man and how valuable your word was. The truth holds no fear. Always be honest, and you can always walk with pride and without fear. So that was the foundation of my motivation. I don't know what this man's motivation was, because other documentarians did their job well and earned the trust of the audience. You can now trade on that trust to fool them. I don't know, maybe that is his motivation, but I'll tell you what does make sense to me. And that's the credits of this film. In the credits where it says directed by, it lists nobody. Thank you for listening to episode number 44 of the In a Crowded Room podcast. I'll be back tomorrow with more.